In 1985, nestled within the serene hills of Montpellier, France, stood a magnificent yet ominous structure. Château de Lorraine. A place of grand architecture, its beauty was rivaled only by the chilling legends that shrouded its halls. This Valentine's Day, the chateau would once again become the backdrop for a tale of love, loss, and the supernatural, a tale that would leave an indelible mark on the sleepy town forever. Lucy and Pierre were young lovers, the kind whose love stories people spoke of with admiration. This Valentine's Day, Pierre decided to surprise Lucy with an unforgettable evening. He had booked a table at the fabled Château de Lorraine, a secluded estate rumored to host the most enchanting dinners. As the couple approached the chateau, the setting sun cast long shadows over its ancient stone walls. Vines climbed its facade, giving it a timeless aura. But something about the way the shadows danced on the ground unsettled Lucy. She shrugged it off, thinking it was just her nerves. "You'll love this place," Pierre assured her as they walked through the grand iron gates that groaned under their weight. "It's said to be magical." Lucy smiled, masking her apprehension. As they entered, the staff welcomed them with polite nods. They were led to a private dining room, adorned with candles and velvet drapes. A faint scent of roses lingered in the air, mingling with the aroma of aged wood. Yet, an unshakable chill seemed to pervade the room. Dinner began with light conversation and laughter. Yet, Lucy couldn't help but notice oddities, the way the candle flames flickered without any breeze, or how their reflections in the large antique mirrors seemed delayed, as if a fraction of a second behind. Midway through their meal, Lucy felt a cold handbrush against her shoulder. She gasped and turned, but no one was there. Pierre dismissed her worry with a laugh. "It's an old place, mon amour. Maybe the draft is playing tricks on you." Moments later, the sound of faint whispers began to echo through the room. Lucy leaned forward, her voice trembling. "Did you hear that?" Pierre paused, straining to listen. The whispers grew louder, though they remained indistinct, an eerie murmur that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. After dinner, the couple decided to explore the chateau. They wandered through its dimly lit corridors, their footsteps echoing off the stone walls. In one hall, they stumbled upon a large portrait of a woman in a red gown. Her face bore an uncanny resemblance to Lucy. "That's strange," Pierre muttered, stepping closer to the painting. As they examined it, the woman's eyes seemed to follow them. Suddenly, the glass covering the portrait cracked with a sharp sound, startling them both. Pierre tried to brush it off, but Lucy's unease deepened. Deciding it was time to leave, the couple retraced their steps to the dining room, only to find the doors locked. The heavy oak doors refused to budge, no matter how hard Pierre pushed. "Stay here," he instructed Lucy. "I'll find someone to help." As Pierre disappeared down the corridor, the whispers returned, only this time. They were louder, clearer. Lucy heard her name being called in a voice that sounded like her own. Terrified, she backed away and stumbled into a parlor filled with antique furniture. A grand piano sat in the corner, its keys dusty from disuse. Without warning, the piano began to play by itself, a haunting melody that sent shivers down her spine. Meanwhile, Pierre wandered through the maze-like hallways, his frustration mounting. He reached what appeared to be the main hall, but found it deserted. The chandeliers flickered, casting eerie shadows. Suddenly, he felt a hand grip his shoulder. Spinning around, he found no one there. A cold draft blew through the hall, carrying with it the faint sound of a woman weeping. Pierre followed the sound to a small candlelit room where he saw a figure sitting in a chair, her back turned to him. He approached cautiously. "Excuse me, madame," he began, but the figure turned sharply, revealing a hollow skeletal face. Pierre stumbled back in horror, the figure vanishing before his eyes. Pierre eventually reunited with Lucy, who was now hysterical. "We have to get out of here," she pleaded. Together, they found a staircase leading to a lower level. The basement was damp and filled with old relics. Among the dusty artifacts, they found a journal belonging to the chateau's original owner, a nobleman who had killed his wife on Valentine's Day centuries ago, suspecting her of infidelity. The journal detailed how the nobleman's wife had cursed the chateau with her dying breath, vowing to haunt any lovers who dared enter. As they read the final entry, A chilling wind swept through the room, extinguishing their candle. In the darkness, they heard footsteps approaching. Panicking, they ran up the stairs, only to find themselves back in the dining room. The room was no longer elegant, but decrepit, with cobwebs and decayed furniture. The whispers now turned into anguished screams. The couple clung to each other as ghostly figures emerged from the walls, their faces twisted in torment. Instead of finding an escape, Lucy and Pierre discovered a hidden staircase leading further underground. Pierre hesitated, but Lucy urged him forward. "If we don't go down, we might never get out of here." The staircase spiraled into what seemed like an endless void, the air growing colder with every step. They emerged into a cavernous room filled with symbols carved into the stone walls. At the center stood an altar, surrounded by skeletal remains dressed in tattered formal wear previous victims of the curse. The symbols on the wall began to glow faintly as a voice echoed through the chamber, whispering in an ancient dialect neither of them could understand. Lucy screamed as one of the skeletons began to move, its hollow eyes fixated on her. From the shadows, a figure emerged, a woman in a flowing red gown, her face pale and ethereal. It was the woman from the portrait. She glided toward them, her eyes filled with sorrow and malice. "You dare disturb my sanctuary?" Her voice boomed, shaking the walls. "You who walk in love shall know the pain of betrayal." Lucy and Pierre tried to run, but the ground beneath them shifted, forming a barrier of bones. The woman raised her hand, and Pierre was lifted off the ground, gasping for air. "Please, we didn't mean to," Lucy began, but the woman silenced her with a glare. "Your love will be your undoing," she hissed. Thinking quickly, Lucy grabbed the journal and began reading aloud the nobleman's final entry. The words seemed to weaken the apparition, her form flickering like a dying flame. Pierre fell to the ground, coughing. Lucy helped him up, and together they recited the curse-breaking incantations scrawled in the margins of the journal. The room filled with blinding light, and the ghost let out a piercing scream before vanishing. Just as all seemed lost, the front doors burst open, and the couple bolted outside. They didn't stop running until they reached their car. As Pierre fumbled with the keys, Lucy glanced back at the chateau. In one of the windows, she saw the woman from the portrait, staring at them with a sinister smile. The car roared to life, and they sped away. But as they reached the edge of the property, a loud thud came from the roof. Pierre slammed on the brakes, and they both looked up to see the skeletal figure from before, grinning down at them. When authorities visited the chateau the next day, they found no trace of the couple or their car. The only clue was the shattered portrait of the woman in red, her image now replaced with an empty canvas. The curse lives on. To this day, locals warn against visiting Chateau de Lorraine on Valentine's Day. They say the cursed lovers still roam its halls, seeking to claim others who dare celebrate their love within its haunted walls.